Welcome to the July 10th, 2018 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I am your host, Lotus Prince, whoa, and this is...
Old Man Stompy.
And Minty Mitz.
Greetings and welcome back. So, we have quite the interesting show for you today, but the first thing that I want to establish is that if you are watching, listening to this on my YouTube channel, be aware that this is the last week where I will be putting the podcast on both my channel and the Corrective Consciousness channel. So, in the description on my channel, you'll see a link to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube page. If you want to continue hearing this podcast after this week, then please follow that and subscribe so that you may continue to get your weekly, in fact, bi-weekly dose of the lot of us just chatting it up. So, for the recon topics we have this week, well, the first thing is, I believe that the two of you went on something of an adventure this weekend. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Like an actual real adventure, not like a video game adventure.
Yeah, I sat in my room and I envisioned being on an adventure. No, this is legit.
Well, it did that first.
Yes.
I thought about like, wow, it would be really fun if we went out and did something. Usually I just stay in my room and play video games after that.
Yep.
Well, but fortunately, we decided to do some real-life exercising.
What's that?
And it included using our legs for funsies.
You can do that?
Yeah, it's like, usually it's like, why do I even have legs? They're just like things I drag around with me while I'm like going to work or like,
yeah,
like
wow.
rolling out of bed.
Putting your pedal to the middle type of thing.
Yeah, who knew that that was an
useful.
option?
So, like 2 years ago, when we first got married, I bought LL Bean boots for the both of us. Because Mitz always wanted to go hiking. And of course, immediately after we did that, we moved out of the New York area into the Chicago area for a while, which is a lot farther from a lot of good hiking spots. New York is like full of them. Like, you're always a few hours away from like upstate New York, where there's a bunch of hiking trails, and the Appalachians, where there's like loads and loads of trails. So in Chicago, we never went hiking. And then when I came back to New York, I started asking my coworkers who might have actually like experienced hiking and like weren't shut-ins like we are, and like might know good places to go in the outside world.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been hiking before.
I don't believe you.
Excuse me, I went hiking during a blizzard, and that was not a good idea, guys. Please don't go hiking in a blizzard. And also, please, if you ever go hiking on a blizzardy day, bring extra socks.
So back in your day, you had to trudge through the snow and the wind uphill both ways?
It was mostly uphill.
It was not a good idea. We don't know what we were thinking. We were like, oh, it's such a good day. And then there was like blizzard warning, and oh man, Stompy just like freaked out.
Yeah, it sucks.
I was in Los Alamos that day on a business trip, which is also a pretty creepy place to be.
Wait, Los Alamos?
Los Alamos, yeah. It's one of the laboratories where we originally developed like the technology behind the atomic bomb.
Damn, okay.
It's an accelerator, a neutron accelerator, that's in this like military town. So you drive up past all these like abandoned military encampments, like little airstrips, to this town of like 11,000 people that's nestled in the mountains in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty interesting.
All this time, they say remember the Alamo, but nobody remembers that there was apparently more than one.
Did you just like wait for me to give that whole story so you could tell that stupid joke?
Yeah, I wanted to tell it earlier, but then you went into like actually like cool stuff that I feel like a total jerk for interrupting, so I waited for you to finish.
Thanks. I appreciate that you waited.
Like, so it was where they developed the atomic bomb. More like the Alamo. It's like,
like, it was just like scientists we invited on the trip, and we were like, we didn't need you to come here. Why are you here? He's like, oh, I just want to go skiing.
That's pretty great.
But like, if I come here, then I can conceivably expense this as a business trip.
Yeah. Loopholes for the win, I guess.
Indeed.
You gotta pay for it anyway, as long as it's not my money.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, my coworkers recommended to me a trail in northern New Jersey called the Stairway to Heaven. And it has like this really optimistic name, which is also a JoJo reference. made it very appealing to some of our friends.
It's it's a tenuous. I love JoJo references, but that one's tenuous. I gotta admit.
Well, we gave people a bunch of options, and they voted for Stairway to Heaven just because it was a JoJo reference, even though it wasn't until like the end of the series, and none of the other ones were. So it's kind of like a tiebreaker.
Well, I mean, Stairway to Heaven's a Led Zeppelin song, so you got your Zeppeli crew, but the one toward the end of the JoJo series is Made in Heaven, which is a Queen song.
Okay. Right. I barely remember that. We kept talking about it as though it was Poochie's Stand.
I honestly thought it was Poochie's Stand in college, and like then I play the video game, and he's like, Made in Heaven. I'm like, oh.
Well, doesn't matter. We went too late.
Did you rapidly accelerate time until the universe reset itself?
We rapidly ascended the mountain until we were dead of exhaustion.
Okay. Perfect.
This is a point, since you talked about how it was like, oh yeah, we went uphill both ways. Let me tell you, when you're climbing a mountain, going downhill is still really hard.
You're going downhill if it's steep, like that sucks, because like you have to stop yourself all the time. You have to really dig in. Yeah. Like going up sucks because it's hard to pull yourself up, but going down, the problem is that it's easy to go down if you just want to drop, but that'll freaking kill you.
Well, the thing is, I've seen like other hikers who are also on the trail. They seem to have a really easy time descending from the mountain, and I'm like just surprisingly shocked. Here I am like observing what type of shoes are they wearing. Mm-hmm. These people are like, oh yeah, this whole mountain is full of ticks and everything. Please be careful not to trigger any home. And then it was like they're all wearing short shorts.
Oh, what?
Short sleeves, tanks. I'm like, what the hell? What am I wearing like extra long slacks for and everything? Am I just a wuss in this?
Yeah, no, yes. To hell with that. I'd be covering myself up. Like, I've only gotten a tick once, but like, you don't want a tick.
Yeah.
Well, Lotus Prince would cover himself up with his house by not leaving it.
Yes, I learned to do that after the 6th grade when I got the tick.
You got the tick? A tick?
Yeah, I got a tick bite on me. So like after the 6th grade, I was like, I covered myself in my house, and now I'm good.
Damn, that's how it all began.
Yeah.
We learned something about Lotus Prince today.
And then I was like, what if I never leave and just play video games?
There are ticks sometimes in video games, but they don't actually cause Lyme disease.
Yeah, that's
to you personally.
Are there ticks in video games?
Well, there's the tick in Binding of Isaac. That's like the game that we always talk about during the podcast. Okay,
yeah, the trinket. That thing sucks too. Literally.
Yes, literally. Everybody laughs stupidly.
So the tick in Binding of Isaac, you have one trinket slot unless you get some like crazy
like the pocket
that allows you to the locket that allows you to have like this. I don't remember if it was a locket or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Allows you to hold 2 trinkets, but getting the tick means you can't get any other trinkets ever again until you get that.
It gives you some ability, but yeah, it takes up either one of your trinket slots if you have 2, or your only trinket slot if you have the 1. So you generally don't want it.
Right. So anyway, hiking, there's ticks.
Oh yeah, sometimes. Real ticks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, real ticks.
Wow.
So there was even a comparison chart on the billboard that warned you about it. It's like, this is how a tick looks like, but that's not the actual size. The actual size, they put like a little 1-inch ruler there, and then it was like really tiny. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, ticks are barely visible, but if they suck a bunch of blood, they kind of like engorge themselves, and it gets super gross.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, to plan this whole thing out, we said that like, oh yeah, sunset is at 8:30. This is a 7-mile hike, which is about 4 hours.
Yeah, it's intense.
That's the estimate. Yeah. So we're like, oh yeah, we got plenty of time to get there. So of course, knowing us, we're all morning people, not really.
Yeah.
So by the time we finally got to the start of the trail, it was like 3 o'clock. So we all put like our suntan lotion on, our bug spray after we got bit a few times, like all got ready, and like the trail starts out really easy. It's just like a boardwalk.
There's still quite a lot of people walking the trail.
Yes.
Even at 3 o'clock, a lot of people with their pet dogs and everything. They're just all walking up and down.
Mm-hmm.
We saw like maybe 2 or 3 seasoned hikers, or they look like seasoned hikers. They look like they were. They had the smell and it's not to offend. They have some sort of smell. They have their hiking gears and their boots and the tents and umbrellas and intense stuff.
Yeah.
So this trail is a subset of the Appalachian Trail, which goes from like Tennessee all the way up to Maine. So
Damn.
you can hike any like sub portion of this, and it could take weeks.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so Mitz is making a reference to the fact that it's pretty clear just from like walking past some of these people that they had been taking this option for at least a few days.
Yeah, they knew what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So the first part, I picked this out because there's like stages that you can do based on how far you feel like going.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going with me and Mitz and her two younger sisters, and also a friend of ours who was also attracted by the JoJo option.
Who was also attracted by the JoJo option.
So he and I were like probably the most physically fit out of the 5 people on this trip, but it's not like Mitz and her sisters couldn't make it. But given the option, like of having, you know, a progressively increasing difficulty, we could tailor the experience to what people felt like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like they've all gone hiking before.
I mean, yeah, they've all gone hiking, but they've never been like more than like 2-3 times type of hiking.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we all go to the gym. So I would like to say that we're not incapacitated in that way or form. Cough. We do our exercises, you know.
We're not completely sedentary.
Hey, 4-hour hike is not actually like the easiest of trails. Like most people usually hike for like 2 hours, and that's about it. Maybe 3. 4 hours is approaching to the low-ish tier, mid-tier type of thing.
Yeah,
and
by
then
the
you have to scale a mountain a little bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say regarding the name of the trail, I'm assuming that like unlike some of the other hiking, you were actually really going like up, hence the name, right? Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, so the choice of the trail name is interesting because the first part is like totally flat. It's like a boardwalk which is erected over just some grassland. So it's totally flat and wooden, like no uneven ground, no rocks. It's the easiest thing to do. And then at the end of that, yeah, this is what we call level 1, like a video game. So like after a certain amount of boardwalking, then there's like a little bit of like packed dirt and like a bike trail, and then like some actual walking over rocks, and that's like level 1.5 or level 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end you can get ice cream. So this is a guy who went like blowing past us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a guy who went blowing past us. He's like, "Hey, see you, catch you at the ice cream." We were like, "Oh my god, there's ice cream!"
We walked a little faster.
Yeah, that's quite the reveal there. See you at the ice cream. Yes.
Yeah. So at 5:30 we came out. Yeah. So we came out the other side of level 2, and it was like Route 94, which is like a place I had considered starting the trail at. But like I wanted to do the introductory part so that if people really didn't feel like hiking up the mountain, at least they got something out of it and got to like 94. Yeah. We could decide if we wanted to keep going and turn back, as opposed to just like throwing people at the mountain who had not done any hiking yet that day.
Well, actually, speaking of all that, regarding like, oh, I don't feel like doing this part, I'm going to stop early or whatever. Like, how do you stop? Like, are there areas where you can like take a bus or something back to your starting point?
No, you have to get back to your starting
point. You do actually have to walk back. Yeah. Okay.
There might be services like buses, but it is not assumed that is part of the hiking experience.
Okay.
So then we hit the mountain. We climbed all the way up the mountain.
Nice.
The end is this sightseeing area called the Pinwheel Vista. And it's like beautiful like vista that looks out over the whole Appalachian Valley that the flat part of the trail is in. It's really nice. So that's like the reward for getting all the way up the mountain. We tried to like judge how difficult the mountain would be because like Mitz and I, we went to Japan last October.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like tourist areas that are on the top of the mountain. So we had climbed up to the Fushigi Inari Shrine, which is like 700 or 800 feet ascent up straight upstairs.
That's like the yeah. Have you ever seen those pictures or videos with like the large amount of bridges, like a gajillion bridges or something, red looking bridges and stuff like that? That's what we were.
Nice.
Or the gates, the torii.
The torii, the gates, the bridge.
Oh, those, yes, absolutely, yes.
So you walk up staircases after staircases after staircases, and at the top you can like get your fortune told and stuff.
Or yeah, you don't really get a person to give you a fortune telling, but you kind of shake. You donate to whatever gods or whatever.
Yeah.
Do some donations to whatever seems like fits whatever.
Yeah. Do they have those like those boxes where like you drop the coins in?
And then
So,
you shake out a stick with like a message on it or something like that.
Right.
But that's a story for later or something.
Or 6 months ago.
Yeah. So I'm assuming in the Appalachian Trail you didn't get so many overly aggressive, hungry deer just milling all about you.
I saw a toad. And I saw a rabbit.
Close.
Oh, we saw turtles.
I saw a toad.
A toad. One toad.
Oh, I saw a turtle on Tuesday because we got hit with a freak, insanely powerful thunderstorm that was like breaking down trees and stuff like that. But like before the thunder started coming, like before it actually started raining, there was traffic built up in an area where traffic doesn't build up. So I thought there was a car accident or something. I've waited for geese crossing the street before, but this is the first time I've ever had to wait for a turtle to cross the street. It was kind of funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nice that you waited for nature.
Yeah, it's like, why is everybody stopping? Oh, well, this could take a while.
Yep. And geese, they care not at all.
Yeah, geese could be fast. They just choose not to because they're dicks. But I mean, a turtle, what are you going to do? Unless you get out of your car and pick it up and help it along.
This geese at Fermilab too, when I lived out in Chicago, and they just like cross the road and they just like honk at you. It's like, no, I should be honking at you. I'm in a car.
Yeah, for real.
You should go away.
Like I remember when I was in college, there's this one goose that would just kind of hang out on the path from my dorm to the dining hall, and I would just pass close by it if I insisted on walking on the asphalt. And every time I walked by it would hiss at me. The first time it was like, oh, and like the 100th time, it got to the point where I'm actually saying "shut up" at it, like it can understand me. Like I look like a fool doing this, but it's just pissing me off every day. You know I'm not gonna mess with you. Piss off, freaking bird.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Even though it could probably break my arm with its wing, but it didn't come to that.
This was the second reason that Lotus doesn't leave the house. First was the tick.
The second was the one goose.
Geese.
Geese.
One goose that decided that like hiss hiss hiss.
It's just like shut up. Like I didn't do anything to you yesterday or the day before. Sit down. But then I realized.
So anyway, we're climbing up the mountain, and I know this is usually like a joke that people like show on television, but like we're like huffing and puffing up the mountain. Yeah. We're not used to nature. I expect that there'll be like animal poop that will get sweaty, that will get covered in bugs, and we were, and it was fine. But like we're making our way up the mountain, and like we're getting passed by little kids. They're like old women walking their dogs.
And then the camera zooms out and you're like just outside of your driveway. Damn it, this is hard.
And people who are just like looking like they're just like, it's just normal exercise walk for us. They're like in their the people who are in their shorts and everything.
Yeah, I mean these are people who probably go for like a daily walk or something.
And they don't have backpacks. That's the thing. I noticed that they were only carrying like a small bag here and there, maybe like a bottle of water or something like that. And we're like carrying like giant ass bags with like 2 bottles of water, maybe some snacks in case we like think we got stranded or got off the trail. But we kind of knew, like you follow the painted trees, painted like the specific color of trail that you're walking on.
Sure,
would have been fine. But these people were like nothing, just
water.
So it got to like 6 or 7 o'clock, and like everything you have to go up. You have to go back the other way, of course. So by 6 or 7, we were like, oh god, we better finish and wrap up. We got to get all the way back to the car because sun sets at 8:30.
The
there were still people climbing past us.
Yeah, they were still climbing. There were still people climbing.
Oh, damn.
Also, like when we first started the trail, there was like a sign that said like, if you or your animal produce feces, bury it 6 to 8 inches below the ground.
Oh, wow.
And apparently this is like common enough for like people who spend days hiking and camping.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I guess if you're going hiking for like 7 miles, like there aren't restrooms on the way.
Depends on which trail you go to, though. But
that's fair.
They expect if you like take a dump in nature, like human feces probably smells a lot worse than animal feces or something because we produce.
But they both like attract bugs and carry disease.
Yeah.
Like whatever you've got, your poop has.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's how we know that our trail was a real beginner trail, because there was like a porta potty at the start, and then halfway through you hit the farm where you can buy the ice cream and you can also use the restroom. So they like really cater to people who are not prepared for the full nature experience.
Sure.
But also that meant that like every time I saw like a little hole dug in the ground, I was like, oh god, is that poop?
assume that if someone like did dig a hole to like take a dump in or something, they'll cover it back up.
I have no faith in humanity.
I would assume seasoned hikers who actually did need to take a dump in the middle of nowhere would cover it up only because they don't want to smell it themselves.
Mm-hmm. And they have sympathy for the people who come after them.
Well, that's the thing. The dedicated hikers are probably like legit, like play it straight with the stuff like this.
Yeah, it felt that way. I think we learned a lot about what kinds of things people go actually hiking with on a real trail.
Sure.
I do notice like they do all wear like a specific type of boots. Like they look like it's not pretty boots. They just wear like something that's really strong and sturdy.
I mean,
feel like,
yeah, if you're gonna be walking on it for hours, like definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I was just walking in my plain sneakers, which I feel like was actually completely fine.
Really?
Because I walked with my normal sneakers.
Because if it were a flat trail, then yeah, I wouldn't care. But if you're doing anything with any kind of verticality, I might want something with more like grip on the sole. Yeah,
the sneakers I have, I think it was because due to like how I grew up, I was taught to like buy shoes that simply had like a lot of grip at the bottom, not just flat and everything.
Because some sneakers can be pretty slidey.
Yep, it's like so. Majority of all my sneakers, except for like flats and such, they and dress shoes. Yeah, they all have some sort of like crazy like grooves and grip in some way. So it was So
this isn't the kind of thing you would need actual like cleats for or anything.
Nah, we're not really going 90 degrees.
Yeah,
I had a great time using the LL Bean boots. I thought they were good on my feet. I didn't have any like foot injuries at the end of the day.
He was lucky.
Yeah, you could build up some calluses.
I heard that he I saw it. He like almost tripped over like a log that was sticking out.
Yeah.
And the boots protected his ankle knee area.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been scared too. I was like,
yep.
What's that? It's gonna be like grumbling the whole entire way, and also like, I gotta check to make sure it didn't get like infected and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that would have been something that would have caused us to turn around and go back.
Yeah, an actual infection. Yeah, this trip is over.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, otherwise you're going further out and then going back. It's like, wait.
Mm-hmm. So you can imagine.
We're just wimps.
Yeah, so I had to drive the 90 minutes back and forth on top of that.
Yeah.
To make sure everybody got home. So I got back at like 10, after we had dinner. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, I'm not doing anything on Sunday. I did all my activity for Saturday. I definitely don't have to go to the gym. I'm going to, like, stay up all night and play video games.
Yeah.
And I sat down on my bed and I fell asleep immediately.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that feeling. I mean, even just the drive can be exhausting if it's long enough and it's a sunny day. Driving is not a stereotypically strenuous activity, but if you go home and you've been driving in the sun for, like, hours... Like, when you kind of realize you're tired when you get back. It's like, oh.
Yes. And so I woke up at like 2:30, and I felt like I could barely like open my eyes. I crawled out of bed. I was hungry, so I had a bowl of cereal. Like, I could barely carry on a conversation.
Yeah.
I slept for another 10 hours.
I watched all of this happen. You just like took the shower because you covered in like lotion and who knows what else.
Yeah.
And then plopped into bed, and then he just like
dead just out.
For a while.
Yeah.
He just came out, and it was like
it was pretty awesome.
Hi, munch, goes back to sleep.
Yeah.
We called up Mitz's sisters, and like they were both still in bed when we woke up.
Yep.
It was really exhausting.
No doubt.
But I really tried to get in the spirit. Like before we went to the hike, I played Celeste, which is like a video game about climbing a mountain.
Yeah, how appropriate.
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain.
Oh God. Is that mean? If you guys, you just like look up Captain Kirk is climbing up a mountain.
Yeah, I do
not know.
And
then there's
a
remix of it. Someone like remixed the stuff that he just said.
So the backstory is that for Star Trek V, which William Shatner directed, I believe, sort of like notoriously like the worst Star Trek movie.
Was that the one where they went to the real world or like Earth with the whales, saving the whales or something?
That was 4.
Okay.
Star Trek V is the one where they went to the center of the galaxy, which they can't actually do on the Enterprise. And they found God or something.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it was directed by William Shatner, which meant that, like Sylvester Stallone when he started directing Rocky movies, like, Captain Kirk becomes, like, way more masculine and messianic than he would be if he's directed by a person who's not playing him.
Yeah, like, when you direct the movie starring yourself, it could be, I would imagine, pretty easy to, like, get really, like, ego trippy.
And William Shatner, like, we know what he's like anyway. He's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, he's, like, climbing a mountain in the movie, and someone asked him in an interview, like, why he chose to direct that scene and what it had to do with Star Trek V. And he gave this, like, incredibly cringy, like, ridiculously pretentious response, like, this rambling answer. I was like, Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing the mountain?
Oh, no.
It's like, to hug the mountain. To envelop the mountain.
Oh, my God.
To make love to the mountain.
And to become one with nature and surpass it and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it's worth parody. And there's a fantastic, like pre-YouTube poop, like, remix of the interview that makes him look like a complete idiot. It's hilarious.
I've never heard of this.
I just, like, watch whoever remixed whatever I watched. I don't know.
Mitz couldn't make it to the end of either the interview or the remix. It's that bad.
This sounds... I kind of want to see the straight interview because that sounds amazing.
Yes, it's fantastic. I recommend it.
So I was totally in the spirit. Why is he calling about?
Yes, exactly.
It's like, I asked you that.
Got the rhythm.
You know, like, William Shatner, he's a spoken word poet, and his works are actually pretty good. So you can imagine his interviews have this hypnotic cadence.
Nice.
Yes, it is very
that also make them easy to remix.
Yeah, he also... I mean, I know he also famously just read out loud the lyrics to Rocket Man by, I think it was Elton John.
Yeah, it's spoken word poetry. It's like, he's well known for that. I've actually listened to one of his albums. They're pretty good.
Nice.
I mean, for spoken word stuff.
Yeah.
They have more integrity than I expected them to have.
And then he swings on a rope and breaks through your window to save you money with the Priceline negotiator stuff.
I mean, I didn't know this. William Shatner's 87. I don't think he's swinging through anybody's window anymore.
Oh. And he also showed up on that one episode of Fresh Prince.
Yes. He's been on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was in a single episode of Fresh Prince, like, as a cameo, like, as himself.
Nice.
Like, William Shatner,
Right.
Whoa.
He's reminiscent these days of Adam West, like, mostly playing himself.
Kind of, yeah.
He's in the same vein. Campy actors from the 60s.
I never thought about that, but I buy it.
Mm-hmm. So, that was the hiking trip. Any final thoughts, Mitz?
Yeah, we didn't tell them about how we saw a beautiful scene at the top of the rocks, and it was kind of scary because we wanted to take scary pictures, but we were just wimps. So.
Oh, yeah. So there was a spot where, like, you can perch yourself on a rock, and it's actually not that dangerous because there's more rocks below that.
That
but
sounds
it
like it makes it considerably more dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, there's, like, a slope of lots and lots of rocks. That you
I'm just thinking, like, don't worry, the rocks will break your fall. Like,
They'll break your fall and your bones.
Yeah.
And your skull.
It's not the fall you have to worry about, it's when you hit the ground.
Yes. So, anyway, if you take a picture from that spot, you can't see anything below you, so it looks like you're just, like, on a cliff over the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, the perspective was still really scary for, like, most of us, including, like, Mitz's sisters. So, you can tell they're smiling, but the smile has that, like, oh,
like,
God,
that deer in
I'm
headlights in the
terrified
eyes, like,
kind of look,
like,
yeah. And it would look worse. They're all wearing sunglasses.
Oh, okay.
So you can't see the fear in their eyes.
Oh, good for them then.
My goodness, don't see the fear.
But-
see the smile. I was like shaking and everything.
Oh, by the way, you had mentioned before, you said when you got, was it the top or was it near the top? You said you got to, like, what was it called, the Pinwheel Vistas?
So that's the end goal. It's kind of at the top of that particular mountain that you're climbing, but you can, like, keep going down the Appalachian Trail. It's kind of a fork.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you did say that the trail goes, like, state to state to state, yeah.
So the trail that we went on was, like, it was, had trees painted, like, part of the trees had white paint on it.
Uh-huh.
So, to get to the vista, we had to veer off a little bit to the blue trail.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wait, you said the, like the because the word is vistas, I'm assuming that was the reward, the vistas, you get like really cool picture opportunities.
Yep. So it says like the view that way.
Yeah. Did you also get the rite of kindling?
We did not get the rite of kindling. Actually, we made our own video game joke because in Final Fantasy XIV, there's something called the sightseeing log.
Oh.
And like they usually require you like getting to like really difficult to get to places
and
in a
then
game.
And then you use an emote to like, it's called lookout or something,
Mhm.
and you look around, and then you get the vista.
Hey.
So we were telling Mitz and her sister, who all play, that like, yeah, we're trying to fill in our life sightseeing log.
Perfect. I love how we both have different corny video game jokes about this hiking trail.
Yes.
And apparently in the vistas, in Final Fantasy XIV, you have to sightsee all of them, and then you talk to a painter who paints that particular scene for you. So
that's actually pretty cool.
So it's really great.
Yeah. I want to say it's Fakafon. One of our listeners said that they like actually tried to complete the sightseeing log and it gave them an anxiety attack, and I can understand that.
Yeah, no doubt. Like there are some games where it's just like, man, like for me, it didn't get to the point of anxiety. It got to the point of exasperation. I still have my save file though. The every Magnus and Baton Kaitos.
Oh God.
Son of a! I was actually doing pretty well on that, but yeah, that's the thing. There's no payoff, and so
I told you there's a speed run for 100%ing Baton Kaitos.
Yeah, you linked me to it. Like I saw part of it where like the guy was away from the computer and his character's just standing there because he has to wait 2 fucking weeks for a card to change.
Right. It's yes. So
2 weeks real time,
like shampoo,
yes.
And after 2 weeks, it turns into beautiful hair. Literally leaving the game on for 2 weeks.
So yeah, so he waits for like, I don't know how long, like over a week or something, and comes back to do other Baton Kaido stuff. But in the meantime, other people are speedrunning all sorts of long RPGs that it doesn't matter how long they are because they're not 2 weeks.
Oh my God!
It's the longest speedrun on record.
It would
it's
have
one of the
to
only
be.
ones that you can speedrun and also sleep during.
Yeah, like for the record, like this latest Games Done Quick marathon, the finale was Final Fantasy VI, and that game was done in like 7 hours, and that was 100% playthrough.
So Lotus was actually trying to get this Magnus while we were all in college the first time.
Oh yeah, I would leave the GameCube on overnight. Yeah.
I remember that like his roommates would call me because I was the only other one who'd ever played Baton Kaitos before because they wanted to play Smash Brothers in the GameCube and they wanted someone who could come over and reliably save the game so Lotus didn't get too mad so we could play Smash Brothers.
Because like I mean obviously they could ask me, but if I'm in class then I'm in class. But yeah, just go to a Blue Flower, save the game, turn the GameCube off.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have been a real asshole and just been like, yeah, just whatever, hit reset. Like,
yeah, 10 hours.
It's saved, I swear.
But yeah, my stopping point in Baton Kaitos was at a point where it is recoverable, but I was just so mad at the time. There was something where like I needed to use an ice cube and combine it with something to get some new Magnus, whatever the hell it was. But like right before I was going to use the ice cube, its 30 minutes were up and it like melted into a puddle of water or something. So I had to go into a different fight to get the ice cube back, then go back to the fight I was just in to use it. I was like,
have you seen the one in Baton Kaitos Origins?
I've actually never touched Baton Kaitos Origins, although I have the game.
So there's one where you have like Pac-Man.
Okay.
And you have to put the Pac-Man Magnus in your deck adjacent to every other kind of Magnus.
Doesn't original Baton Kaitos have like something like that, like with like the fruits?
I don't think it's this bad.
Okay.
I think you can just like merge the fruits in a combo.
Okay.
But this is like 160 something Magnus that have to be eaten by Pac-Man.
Oh, get the hell out of here!
It's unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, I've also started playing Lost Kingdoms, and that's another like game where you don't have to, but I kind of want to like collect every card, and it's just it's so daunting. Yeah. But anyway, like I've already deviated from where you actually had a pretty nice segue where you're talking about FF14 regarding the sightseeing log, but I believe you also had something else to discuss with FF14.
Awkward segues. What are those? We never have those in this podcast.
Talking about segues, Final Fantasy XIV, they have those flaming wheels for as a mount.
Oh yeah, there's a flaming Segway mount in Final Fantasy XIV.
There's a flaming Segway?
It's literally an awkward Segway.
Yo, okay.
It's like spinning flaming wheels for your feet.
But now we've burned that awkward Segway, we can never go back to it again.
Yes.
So from the vista, you sit there, you rest, you look at the gigantic view that's in front of you, and then you look down a little bit and notice that there are hawks flying around, and the hawks are still not as high as we were.
That's actually awesome.
We're talking about real life still, not Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
This is not Final Fantasy. This is real life now. This is a hiking trip.
This is
we
final
see,
real
like,
life.
A patch of a bunch of the junk cars or barbecue spots and etc. And they were like, wow, that's a very tiny spot. Because it is like a patch of like.
That was the part that really got me. Like, I was not super intimidated by the height most of the way through, and I was able to sit and take the picture. But I was like, "Fuck! I'm like higher than the birds." Like, that's
that's a feeling. Yeah, like that. Like normally, I'm not intimidated by heights, but if there are situations where I'm pushed up against the edge, like I believe we mentioned this already for when we went to see the Final Fantasy concert in Carnegie Hall, when you have when you have to walk to your seat on the third floor balcony, and you realize the seats are immediately to your left, so you can't walk away from the balcony, so you're kind of rubbing up against the balcony, which only goes up to like knee height at best. It's kind of like, ugh, like I'm feeling it now.
Yeah, it's like this is set up so it's really hard for us to accidentally fall off. But if I really wanted to, I could just kill myself right now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's pretty scary.
You could trip in a weird way and just kind of like pivot over. It's just like, no thanks.
Yeah. So it has like good ledges. I noticed that the rocks we're climbing up, they have like a slope, inverted slope that like when you climb on it, it doesn't like slip back down. It just kind of like I don't know how to describe that. Like the rocks when you're like climbing and they form like a stairs. They don't just like slip downward. They kind of slip into the formation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no chance of you just like slip and slide.
That's kind of cool.
Step down or something like that.
Oh, so it's almost like... Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. So instead of, like, a stair would go up and away from you, it kind of goes up and, like, maybe diagonally down and away from you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's almost like the serrations of a saw, kind of.
Right.
Okay.
We also made the Breath of the Wild reference, which was basically for Mitz's sister, Flo. We'll call her Flo. That's her online name. So if she's ever on the podcast, that'll probably be her nom de plume.
Yeah. So she would she never played. She was like a really big Zelda and Link fan because we played a gajillion hours of Wind Waker, but that's another story for another time too. But she hasn't played Breath of the Wild yet because the Switch that we own, I'm the one who's usually playing on it, and then my other younger sister also decided she wanted to take a little file on it. So you know how if you've played Breath of the Wild, you know that's not just like, oh, I can sit in for like an hour and I'll be okay.
Well, Breath of the Wild becomes your life.
Gameplay, no.
So we made the joke that like, if it was raining, it would be impossible to climb this mountain.
I was actually like that joke myself. Like, it starts drizzling, and you're like, well, guess I gotta sit here for like 5 minutes and then just not move.
So, like, Flo said that when we were on the way up. She'd be like, wow, this mountain would be really hard to climb if it's pouring. It's like, why would the fuck would we ever go hiking if it was going to be pouring?
Yeah, right.
Yes, if it's an accidental drizzle. But thankfully, it was 80 and sunny the whole day, which is like the perfect weather.
Yeah, Sunday was gorgeous. It was a beautiful day.
It also got, like, really cool at night. So, like, around 8 o'clock when we were making that last stretch run, it was, like, really cool and windy. So it cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, that was a very nice breeze. It was not, like, a cold type of overwhelming, like...
No, yeah, it was like a zephyr. It was really pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
That's my go-to word. It was a zephyr. It was a squall.
So speaking of squalls, in Final Fantasy...
Whoa.
So, has Mr. Ryu or Mitz told you about the best sightseeing log in the newest expansion?
I don't believe so. I think the last thing I saw Mr. Ryu do was, like, jump to the very top of the tower you're in your hub world to jump way off and land on a light post or some bullshit. Oh, that was the one?
So
yeah, I saw him.
There's a sightseeing log called Kugane Tower. And it took Mr. Ryu like 3 or 4 hours just to learn how to climb up there once.
Yeah, and even when you do climb up there, you have to jump. Like he was trying to grab an item, so you have to like jump off of the top of the tower and land perfectly on some horizontal like light pole. And if you mess it up, then you got to do the climb again. And the climb itself is crazy hard.
So that's another sightseeing log. So
Yeah.
if you're at the base of Kugane Tower, you'll see like a little light post, which is like just a little bit higher than your character can jump.
Yeah.
And there's a sightseeing log on top of that. And you're like, that looks really easy. Like, I must just have to jump off of something. But the only thing nearby that's higher than that lamppost is the actual Kugane Tower.
And like it's so hard to climb because Final Fantasy XIV, you can platform, but it's not really a platformer, and you have to do all these weird jumps onto like pieces of wood hanging out and scaffolding, and like it doesn't look like you should make those jumps. It looks like the kind of thing you would do to find like an Easter egg in any other game. Like, I can't believe you actually did this, but like the thing you're going for is telegraphed from the very beginning. So it's like, oh man, like it's almost like the joke that's what you have to climb.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is required if you're a Dragoon in the game to complete all your like class quests.
Oh god.
I think there might be an. I haven't played Dragoon, but there is a. I heard there was like probably an NPC up there or something.
Like when you are doing your level 70 job quest.
But
Yeah, I don't know anything about that because
So I'm
Mr.
amazed
Ryu
at
was
how
not a
many level
Dragoon.
70 Dragoons there are, knowing how hard it is to get to the top of Kugane Tower.
Yeah, those guys must be pretty dedicated. Like, Mr. Ryu showed me some of that, and like some just stupid, goofy mounts, like just a bear with a Santa hat and stuff like that.
That's a great mount.
It's just
That's a
like, look at
great
this.
mount.
Yeah.
There's also a turtle, which is supposed to be based off of the turtle from Godzilla, Gamera.
Yeah,
wanna
Gamera.
say.
Yeah, that was a
So it,
separate
like,
series,
spins
but
around-
yes.
It spins and like rockets come out of its like.
Yeah, that's Gamera,
like,
straight
holes.
up. Yeah.
So yeah, and you can like spin on it. So Mr. Ryu takes all his clothes off, so he's just in his underclothes.
Yeah.
And he like sits on the turtle and then he spins around a lot.
That's pretty great.
there's also a minion version too, and it also spins.
Yeah, and Mr. Ryu, by the way, also showed me, like, because I think he was giving Kefka a shot, but he was looking up, like, whatever the super versions of bosses are called, like Savage, is it?
Yeah, Savage.
Yeah, and he was looking up, like, some YouTube video for how to fight Savage Kefka, and the how to beat him video was, like, 30 minutes long. And,
Right.
like, it was actually, like, necessary listening. It wasn't, like, filler. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is not worth my time. Like, there's no way I'm doing this.
So that's kind of why we wanted to include Final Fantasy XIV in Recon for this week, because there was a new patch last Monday, and like it's a thing that Mitz and I do a lot, so it seemed like a reasonable thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And especially like Mitz and Mr. Ryu and some of our other friends have been doing the Savage rating
Yeah.
for the most recent like top tier. So Mitz, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Which experience?
Any of the...
Okay, so I how I play the game is like I didn't want to be pressured to run all the way to end game process. Like, end game is like basically latest content, and so I go through the game casually. I talk to all the NPCs. All the NPC have like some sort of very unique dialogues, and then you exhaust them, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what happened here. And you go through your different classes that you would like to go through, because different classes connect stories to different things that you might have seen earlier, and somehow they're all interrelated in some way or form. But so I finally reached endgame content, supposedly endgame content, where I would finally have a class high enough, which is level 70, and a few weapon gears. Because you could be level 70 and have shitty gear,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't be able to fight the boss because you're not dealing enough damage.
Yeah, it's like
or-
Disgaea in that regard. Like, the equipment is kind of... I mean, it might be different in Final Fantasy XIV, but in Disgaea, the equipment, like, is the character.
Yeah. I've heard
Yes.
it called like horizontal scaling versus vertical scaling, where one is like level progression, where you like
Yeah.
level up your character and their stats go up, and another one is equipment progression.
Yeah, because in Disgaea, even if you're quad 9, you are nothing without leveled up weapons.
Right.
Well, for the latest patch, like the highest eye level item, it's like 370. But it could be argued that like some people could go anywhere from like 360 to 370 because certain play styles require you to have more of this stat or something, and then certain gear will provide you with that stat better than the level 370 gear. So that's why we want to say 360 to 370. More like 362, but you know that's a little too hardcore there. But so we want to say between here and here. It's the item level that is most ideal for the current content. But here I am. I'm gathering little pieces of gear. Mr. Ryu is helping me obtain up to at least 350, because at 350 you should definitely make a lot less mistakes. There's not a lot of room for forgiveness because your HP is so low with that type of item level. So I got to playing Savage content for the first time, and I've observed my sister who actually got to. She started this game first, so she would have been here already. We started with the Phantom Train.
Sure, I've seen a little bit of that.
And you really, as a healer class, you have to really be on point, because the tanks are always constantly taking damage, and while they are taking damage, you're also avoiding ghosts. And if you mess up and you got caught by the ghost or die or something like that, basically you're putting a lot more. You're putting more on the other healer. You have 2 healers on this team.
Yeah.
And they can run dry of MP really quickly, because not only they're always healing the tank, they're also like healing people that might have made a mistake and then get hit on by other things, and then there's great wide attacks and such.
And not to mention, what Mr. Ryu had told me about the healers is that especially in the Savage fights, they're supposed to be outputting damage too, because you can run out of time, and the healers need to be attacking and healing, which is not a concept I'm particularly used to in single-player games. Usually the healer does minor damage and just sits back and heals, but in Final Fantasy XIV, no, you gotta throw down as well.
So the character classes in 14, they follow like the classic trinity of healer, tank, and DPS.
Yeah. But
like realistically, the common saying is that every class in Final Fantasy XIV is a DPS class. Just some of them have more responsibilities.
Yeah. Again, like he was showing me the Kefka video, and I was like, man, this is so stressful for the healers, and they gotta like be dodging all that stuff. And Mr. Ryu was like, are you kidding me? No, they're also running in there and fighting the thing. It's like, you've got to be kidding me.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
I have to, even though like you're high-ish level, like the highest level, and with good gear, you have to actually know like the scriptness of the fight to know when to actually throw a few attacks in that direction.
Yeah.
So if for the thing for like healer classes, they have like a dot, like a damage over time spell. Usually it's pretty instant. You have to know the timing. Like it usually lasts about 18 seconds or something. Every 15 seconds you're supposed to throw a new dot on it to keep the dot happening.
Yeah, well, this is a thing that's like, this is very MMO, where like everything is management, like your health, your MP, making sure your attacks are happening, making sure your direct hits are happening, and it becomes like this math equation in the form of a fight. It's like pretty insane.
Right. So like there's a logging tool called the Advanced Combat Tracker that you can use to like track your DPS in relation to everybody else. And there are certain standards that you're expected to keep up to, or else you're just not going to be able to beat the boss in time. And you can like rewind the logs. You can upload them to a site called FFXIV, and you can like rewind the whole fight. You can see what the top rank people are doing all the time and like how they manage their skills. It's like, it's a real deep rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to go down that rabbit hole, only because it gets very dingy real quick.
Sometimes it's real funny. Sometimes I like to like run the logging tool when like Mr. Ryu is playing a class he doesn't know how to play yet, and then like I'm playing my main class and we're just like doing a casual dungeon and I have better DPS than him and I can just like make fun of him because I never get the opportunity to do that.
It's just
I'm just an asshole.
That we're doing. It's kind of fun, and it's like sometimes the healer is like doing way more damage than any of the DPS because it's a new class. You don't have to get best of the weapon at that level, and etc.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just real quick, you established that dot was damage over time. Just for the record, DPS is damage per second, so you're just like laying on the hurt, right?
Right.
Like you should be doing at least this amount of damage per second.
I don't really specialize in DPS classes. The only one that I specialize is like Samurai, which is a very selfish damage dealing class.
Mm-hmm. Does he still have Guild Toss, by the way?
No. Unfortunately not.
Oh, too bad, because I remember in Final Fantasy like 5 that just broke some fights.
Unfortunately, it would be really weird if you could just break a multiplayer fight using a specific skill.
Yeah.
Like everybody would just play that class all the time.
That is true, yeah. Like 4 Samurai versus Kefka, Guild Toss, you're all bankrupt, he's dead. Like, oh.
Oh, we don't have that one, but there is a fight. Yojimbo is like, you gotta get all the coins from the floor or else he'll like...
So, Yojimbo from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, I watched Mr. Ryu play that in MagFest. It was amazing.
So yeah, it was a summon in 10, and you could pay him money, and if you paid him enough money, he could instant kill any boss in the game, including the optional bosses.
Yeah, that's why I super liked Yojimbo, especially in Final Fantasy XIV, was that even though you have to fight Yojimbo in FF14, it was just... He maintained the most consistently intimidating presence because even when he loses, he's still 100% in control of the fight. Like, when you wear him down to, like, 0 HP in the context of the fight, he just stops fighting. He's like, alright, clearly I'm not getting paid enough to last as long as this, so I'm just gonna go home. Like, if he really actually wanted to kill you on his own, you know he could, but the only thing he cares about is money. So either he gets enough money to kill you, or he doesn't, and he's like, well, this is bullshit, and he just chooses to leave. Like, that guy's a champion.
How convenient for the narrative of the story that Yojimbo didn't just show up and kill you in one hit.
I know, right?
Pretty boring.
I just really love it, though, when the unseen boss, the guy hiring Yojimbo, throws money all over the ground, like you said, Mitz, and you have to pick up the money, and then... Based on how much you pick up, Yojimbo will do some area, like, full screen slash that either, that does some amount of damage to you. And if you're still alive, the unseen boss is like, what the hell is this? You're supposed to kill him. And Yojimbo's like, well, should have paid me more, I guess. Like, you paid me for that level of power. They survived it. That's your problem, not mine. It's like, wow, okay. Yeah. I just love that.
I haven't seen the fight enough. I've only seen it, like, once.
It's pretty rad. Yeah, I only saw it once, but it really stuck with me.
I don't know if you actually get the coins yourself.
No, you don't. Like, you pick the coins. You pick the coins up in the context of the fight, but it does not add to your actual wallet.
Oh, unfortunately.
Otherwise, you could just wait Yojimbo out.
He uses Guild Toss.
Yeah. Oh no. Guild Toss is probably the last thing Yojimbo would use, actually.
So, yeah, it's true. He doesn't want to give up his money at all. Yeah. So from that point is how do we get from Kugane Tower to like talking about Final Fantasy all of a sudden?
Well, I made an awkward segue. I just kind of like shoved it in there.
Well, let me go back to something else different now. So after watching the Vista now, we had to descend from the mountain. And let me tell you, descending from the mountain is really, really difficult because you are technically now fighting with gravity.
Yeah.
And every time you fight with gravity, it's basically you're going downhill. And every time you go down here, you're stopping yourself with your shoes or your foot or something like that, right? So you're constantly jamming your toes.
Yeah.
To the the tip of your shoes or something like that. And I at some point I had to stand still, gotta realign my blood or something like that. Lower
what?
Blood pressure. I don't know. Like I don't know. Okay. So. You get dizzy, right? You're climbing up a mountain. You're already ascending. You're going above sea level and stuff like that. You're already limiting your oxygen intake and slightly, but not that much. But you're still limiting this. Your body's not used to that kind of condition. And on top, you're stressed, and stressed in some way or form. And so your blood is running rapidly, and your blood is running too fast, or you have like a high pulse or something like that. You're gonna start fainting and stuff. So you're gonna have to sometimes sit down, or not sit down, but like stand still, realign yourself, and make sure you're more calm. Sure you're not gonna
pressurize yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's how I feel like it. It's like you descend. You're trying really hard to not step on leaves or a rock that's like too smooth or something, and it's just slip or something. Yep. That's the worst case scenario. I mean, I tripped over a few times, but that's bad rock climbing because I'm not experienced on my part. Jamming your toe, constantly jamming your toe, and that's how you descend. And I told Man Stompy to bring a flashlight just in case if we went past the time of sunset.
Yeah.
Because that has happened to me once actually before. When one day a group of my slightly more experienced hiker friends, they decided they wanted to go up in the mountains in upper state New York, and we actually reached a spot where there was an actual real rest stop camping area in the mountain. Like, nobody mans it. There's a stove. There's a little tiny hut to protect you from the rain. Like, it's an obvious, like, stopping point for people to just, like, lay down and just rest.
Sure.
I will say that, like, I agree with Miss assessment. Like, that's the easiest way to twist your ankle coming down the mountain, is that, like, you're landing hard on your feet, and, like, you can get a walking stick or something, and I saw that people passing us actually had, like, the fiberglass or whatever sticks, sometimes two at a time, like skiing cross sticks.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. To, like, help them balance their weight when they're coming down, because, like, if you're not coming down on a flat rock, or even if it looks flat, it might not be, and you, like, twist your ankle, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you're up a mountain, and you can barely walk.
Yeah, we picked up some sturdy rock sticks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you know, you make a bad landing or something like that, and you kind of just break part of the stick a little bit, so it gets abandoned.
Oh yeah, my stick snapped.
Oh wow.
So, like, you find wooden sticks, and, like, generally speaking, it doesn't happen as much as anymore because people have the fiberglass sticks, but you're supposed to, like, get your stick and then use it inside the forest, and then leave it for the next hikers so that people aren't, like, taking things out of nature.
Yeah.
You know, you leave what you used. You know, you don't take anything from the trail. So, like, I found someone's stick, and eventually it just, like, snapped on me while I was coming down a rock.
Oh,
Like, that was fucking scary.
Yeah.
Later, I found, like, a much bigger, thicker stick.
Yeah.
It's more appropriate for me, but it was still kind of, like, curvy. Like, so I can see the benefit to having the fiberglass ones someday. Maybe if we do more hiking, I could justify paying the price.
If we actually hike, like, maybe 2 or 3 times a year at least, then I would maybe consider it, but we only do it, like, once a year so far, or once every 2 or 3 years. I don't think it's kind of worth it right now.
It's also one of those things that, like, if you break your ankle because you didn't have the fiberglass stick,
I know. If only I'd invested
so, you know,
in the fiberglass stick.
There's always a good argument.
Yeah.
Clearly, the hiking is, like, way outside our usual sphere of experience. That's why we just, like, keep wanting to talk about it.
Oh yeah. So from the other experience with my other friends who are more experienced, I'm not really sure what happened, but we went like during winter time, and we were aware that there was a blizzard coming in, so it got dark faster than usual, type of thing. And we're going back. The lakes were still frozen and everything, and we went up, and that's where I started learning a little bit more about strenuous hiking. Because, like, the person that we were with, he wanted to continue going up at 6:30. And we were like, no, let's go back. He's like, oh, but the next stopping point is only, like, an hour. And we're like, no.
Yes,
let's
no.
go back. Let's go back. And then it actually did get dark. Like, the sun actually did set. We didn't get back to the car till, like, 9 or something like that.
Damn.
But I think we were, like, kind of smart about it. I felt like I was kind of smart about it. Cough, because I was over-preparedness. Cough. And I had, like, my flashlight and everything. And at some point we were, like, our shoes got really wet. Even if you had hiking boots, you know, the perspiration of your feet. And
yeah.
I never realized this, but I think you're supposed to bring, like, extra socks here and there. Because of all the sweat that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, that's, like, the worst when it's cold, to have, like, wet feet.
Oh, it's bad, yeah. Even stepping in a puddle can ruin your day.
Yes, like, we stepped in a lot of puddles, and there was still, like, a lot of wet leaves and quite a bit of ice still. A little bit of snow here and there. Good thing it rained, like, the day before or something. 2 days before or something like that. It was, like, not a lot of snow left, but there was still a bit here and there. And, I'm a little hesitant to say this, but I did this thing where I took some plastic bags and put it inside my shoe. And I just wrapped my foot
bags.
Because, not the outside, the inside. Because I didn't want to, like, have soggy feet. Like I had soggy feet still, but It
Yeah,
was.
it could be worse.
It was just better than filling up your feet with
Yeah.
your shoe with water.
Mm-hmm.
So we descended. It was 9 o'clock, and we got back to our car. We were all excited, exhausted, and stinky feeted, and shit.
Good times.
Good times.
Well, it was worth it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was worth it. I learned something from it, and I hope one day we'll go back doing something with the similar sort.
So
For
what's
sure.
the next hike you want to do?
Oh, another hike that I went to. I was really, I really liked this one. It was fun, at least to say. It's called. I don't remember what it was actually called, but the experienced hiker that did the trip. It was another 4-5 hour hiking, but it included like 3 series of different trails that lead you to 3 different like village towns and vistas and such. The one that was particularly really memorable to me was that we climbed through a bunch of rocks that was really, really tightly squeezed. I believe that mountain climb was called a lemon squeeze of some sort.
So the rock formation is actually called the Lemon Squeezer. I looked it up after we got home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the rocks were just really close together. It's encouraged that climbers like kind of just squish through the holes in the rocks to get through to the other side to reach the other part of the trail.
It's just another Appalachian Trail, just way further up in New York, beyond where we were hiking before.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's the intersection of the Appalachian Trail White, and I'm reading the article about it, and some other trail. So the white is the same trail that we were following.
Mm-hmm.
It's like white markers on the trailblazes all the way up to the Pinwheel Vista. I guess it keeps going all the way up to this hike in New York.
Okay.
So that tells you how far it goes. I think it goes all the way up to Maine. You can see the map at any point. Like, it doesn't really help you. Like, what are you supposed to do if you're like in New Jersey trying to figure out where you're trying to go?
Yeah.
And then it just shows you a map that says like, oh yeah, you go all the way up to Maine. I was like, I'm not going to do that today.
Yeah, right.
Not useful information to me.
Hey, that information is probably not for you. It's probably for the other hikers.
Well, I don't care about them.
Well,
They mind their own damn business.
anyway, do you guys have any last thoughts on the anything regarding hiking?
I that's all the thoughts I have ever had about hiking in my life, and hopefully there will be more.
All right.
I'd like to do more hiking
Hey.
before I get... No, I couldn't say get too old. I would like to do more hiking. It's actually very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Besides playing like games and staying home all day and everything, like as much as I like to like play, like supposedly stay indoors and everything, it's kind of nice to balance it out once in a while to see what nature offers. I would say it's a lot better than just going to the mall or something like that. Just because like you go to the mall, it's just like fussy here and there.
Yeah, and you're
Go
still
on the trail.
indoors.
Yeah.
You're still indoors, but you're on the trail. You're not. Nobody in nature is telling you to spend money besides yourself.
Besides ice cream guy.
Besides the ice
apparently
cream guy.
apparently the Lemon Squeeze is a paid trail, like $20.
Oh, is it?
Oh. Well, that's how they get you.
I guess if we're going all that way, $20 isn't that big of a deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got in for free.
Well, maybe you just like went around the paid part. And just,
That's probably what happened. We didn't actually pay anything. We went from a different trail into that trail.
Okay,
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
it's a smart choice.
Anyway, that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps us promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement keeps the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you could friend me as Vice the Bold on Steam. Wait a minute. No, you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, getting in on a Discord chat with me and other patrons, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/Lotus Prince. And to be fair, you could find Vice the Bold as Vice the Bold on basically everything.
Even Battle.net.
Yeah.
And you can find me as Old Man Stompy on most major gaming and social media networks, except for Steam. I don't know why you would want to. Or you can find me up a mountain sometimes.
You can find me up a mountain on Sunday.
It was Saturday.
Oh, Saturday, excuse me. Oh, that's right, what, yeah.
And I'm Minty Mitz. You can find me probably playing Final Fantasy somewhere in the world, etc. I don't really use any Twitter and etc. So you probably won't find me on social media. Maybe.
Maybe. Try it out, see what happens. Anyway, that is Reactive Consciousness. I'll see you on Thursday. Until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.